Birthright citizenship. This happened after last week's episode, so technically something I want to talk about. So last week, in a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court upheld birthright citizenship, much to many of your chagrin. Now, keep in mind, very important fact here, 6 of the 9 Supreme Court justices were appointed by Republicans, which means this is probably never getting overturned. Maybe some point in the distant future, or maybe some point in the not so distant future, but doubtful anytime soon. Now, technically, Congress can pass a constitutional amendment with 2/3 of the vote. Man, I've been learning so much about America and the government here. I Google all this stuff for the show. But so they can, you need 2/3 of the vote. I'm sure a lot of you know that, but you know, I knew it was around there. I didn't know the exact number, but 2/3 of the vote for a constitutional amendment, which doesn't seem like something that'll happen anytime, maybe ever. I don't know. It seems like to get 2/3 of Congress to agree on anything, specifically getting a single Democrat to vote against birthright citizenship, they're going to have a lot of dirt on those people. Now, birthright citizenship, I didn't quite realize this. I'll be honest. Some of the stuff I talk about on the show, you know, I don't know much about beforehand, at least certain details. So, birthright citizenship is actually the norm in pretty much all of the Americas, except for the Dominican Republic and Colombia for some reason. I didn't think it was a uniquely American thing, but I didn't think it was as common as it was. It's not common anywhere else in the world, but for some reason in the Americas, it is quite common. Now, obviously, besides the US, Canada, no one is really scamming their way into citizenship into any of those countries. Maybe they are on, small numbers, but I doubtful in any sort of meaningful way. Obviously, America is the prize. Canada is a consolation prize, if you will. Now, I know the purpose originally of birthright citizenship was so that slaves could become citizens. I guess that was the deal, is slaves weren't citizens. America's really just constantly paying for the whole slavery stuff, huh? Just over and over. They just won't let us be. But, as much as it was, obviously it was so the slaves could be citizens, which I suppose is a good thing. It definitely was not so Chinese tourists could pay money to come to the U.S. with the express purpose of having a child here and then leaving, right? It was not for that. And look, it's one thing. Probably some of you will disagree with me on this. This is fine. But it's one thing when a family is here illegally, but at least they live here. I know they're not supposed to be here, but at least they live here, right? But just the Chinese people or wherever, people do it from all over. I don't want to single out Chinese people, but the notion that you literally come here for the express purpose of giving birth and then leaving is crazy. And obviously the concept of birth tourism wasn't a thing when they drafted the Fourth Amendment. I don't think there was planes. I don't believe there were planes. So it's not something they probably could have foreseen. Now, consider this another blow to everyone worried that the U.S. will cease to be a white nation. Because at this point, irrespective of even this, it seems it's all but guaranteed. You would think that the crazy prohibitive cost of healthcare in this country would prevent people from giving birth here, except that they don't pay, obviously. They just come here. You guys pay for it. That's funny, isn't it? Now, I don't know if I've ever said this before, but when I was on my honeymoon in Anguilla, I think it was Anguilla. Antigua? It was Anguilla. We had a driver there. His name was, I believe it was Chester. I think it was Chester. Nice guy. Good dude. He was our driver for the week that we were in Anguilla, because they don't really have taxis there. It's a tiny island. Not a lot going on there. So he was like our driver. Whenever we needed to go somewhere, he would drive us. And so, got to talking to him. Chester, and because we would spend some time together, taking these car rides. And he told me, he's like, yeah, I have 2 kids. They both live in the United States. He was born in Anguilla. I go, oh, interesting. Your kids live in the U.S. How does that work? Because, he wasn't American, obviously. And I mean, my mind cannot comprehend. I'm sure it exists, but my brain cannot comprehend someone who lives that close to America not living in America. I'm sure it exists. I certainly cannot comprehend it. But he was not an American. So I was like, how did that work? And so he basically told me that he had a personal rule whenever he knocked up a woman, and I think he has multiple baby mamas, like 2, that anytime he ever got a woman pregnant, I guess this was just his rule. He only used it twice. Anytime he got a woman pregnant, he immediately, the moment he found out she was pregnant, he sent her to live with his cousin in Miami until the baby was delivered, specifically for the purpose of that child becoming a U.S. citizen. And that, you have to imagine, is probably happening a lot. A lot, right? You figure like most, if you're from, depends what country you're from, but a lot of countries, you're allowed to come to the States for 182 days a year legally. There's lots of countries where you're not, but that's kind of usually you're allowed, like countries, I imagine Anguilla is one of them, or maybe they just overstay and they go, yeah, I'm never going back, but my kid's American. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it works, but you do have to imagine this is happening a lot, which again, I'm sure the kids are pumped. They're like, yeah, we don't have to live in fucking Anguilla. No, nothing against Anguilla. Nice place. Rather live in America. There's even, I mean, since this whole debate over this stuff, there's things that have come up. There's businesses all over the world, apparently, China, that train women on how to travel to the U.S. when pregnant, and they tell them all the things that they're supposed to say to custom agents in order to not raise suspicions. So basically, there's, I don't even know what the solution is here. I don't think there is a solution besides, Congress voting on this, which will probably never happen. What do you give every woman who's entering the United States a fucking pregnancy test? That doesn't seem doable. So I don't really know. I don't really know. Maybe some sort of penalty if you catch them, but they're already gone, right? I don't even know. I mean, the point is that the kids get even if you punish the parent, they're like, well, the kid's American now. So also, speaking of anchor babies, big game tonight for the United States. They take on Belgium to get into the World Cup quarterfinals. In easily one of the oddest things I've ever seen in sports, U.S. star Folarin Balogun received a red card last game, which meant he would not be able to play today. Most American soccer fans had no idea that was the rule because nobody gives a shit about soccer here. And, I mean, maybe they care more, but I'm sure a lot of people will be watching tonight. But, a lot of people don't really get how it works. The penalty was reviewed by FIFA, upheld. Then apparently Donald Trump and Howard Lutnick called the head of FIFA to complain about the penalty, which, to be honest, was kind of bullshit. I don't think there was any sort of intent to hurt the guy. I think it was just kind of like a bang bang play and it happened, but he didn't mean to hurt him. It just happened. And then FIFA goes and suspends the red card. And so he's playing tonight, which is crazy. Now, the thing is, if you're an American, you should love this shit. I wish, if I was in Canada, I would love the fucking prime minister to get on the horn with FIFA to be like, what do you mean about all this? Let's get this overturned. Some Americans who don't like Trump are now rooting for Belgium for some reason. I don't know why. Now, Trump says he didn't pressure the head of FIFA, but obviously when the president of the United States calls you to complain, that is in and of itself pressure, obviously. And this goes without saying, funniest part about this whole thing is Balogun is literally an anchor baby and is the exact type of person Trump wants to strip of his citizenship. The exact scenario. His parents literally went on vacation to America from London. He was born in Brooklyn. And then immediately, what happened was they tried to go back to England and the airline was like, you're too pregnant to get on a flight. So you have to stay here in America, give birth, have your anchor baby, and then he went back. The guy has a full British accent. There's nothing about him that is American other than a passport. And now I'm not trying to be one of those people who are like, oh, it's not all bad. Birthright citizenship is not all bad. We have a star player on our soccer club. Because obviously, regardless of what happens in the game tonight, the U.S. is not winning the fucking World Cup. But hilarious nonetheless. Okay.